This is literally what makes me question how people have the audacity to call themselves a technician. Sure, it just looks like the screen is cracked. I don't know if the camera will pick it up that well, but there's like a bend in the aluminum housing right here. We'll go ahead and power it on. I can show you exactly what's going on with it. Now that we're booted on, we have that error message saying it's unable to activate Touch ID. You got all these weird lines going down the LCD as well. And I can't even get in the phone pressing the home button. I'm literally stuck on the lock screen. And then the next thing is we're missing our Penelope screws on the bottom. So I'm betting we can open this up without even heating it up on the heat pad right here. It's a little off camera. We'll go ahead and power the phone off now. We'll take our screen priors here and see if we can open it up without even heating the phone up. That was way too easy to open. Just take a pick and go around this part of the screen with it to free it. Now if we fold it open, not pretty at all with what I'm seeing here. We got a bunch of gunk in the phone right here. We're missing some screws here, and we're even missing our metal plate right here. Let's take a look at our flex cables here. I suppose this here would explain why our home button ain't working. It's a little hard for it to catch it, but there's this silver line there, and that's where our cable is torn, and that's why our home button isn't working. Now we'll take our eye-hold tool here to hold the screen open so I can get that one metal plate removed and get our battery disconnected to further diagnose the phone overall. Screw doesn't want to quite come out, so I'm just going to take some pliers here and assist it a little bit. We ended up disconnecting one of our cables to the screen. It's not ideal to do that before you get the battery disconnected, as it can damage both the screen and the board. That's our audio cable. And there we go. Now we got our battery disconnected. Before we jump into this any further, we got our new parts here. First, we got our new housing that contains the lower components of the phone. We got our new Penelope screws, which can also be called security screws. We got our adhesive to seal the display to the phone to help maintain water and dust resistance. We got our new screen here. That is a refurbished original Apple display, so it will live up to its full quality, except the only thing is we're most likely going to lose True Tone if whoever did this repair didn't program the serial number of the original screen over to this replacement. We got a new lithium battery here from iFixit. They're not sponsored, but I really love using their products. And that will fix this up right here where we don't have any exposed metal that can short out on the back of our screen. And our last part is that missing metal plate. I was able to actually pull this off of an iPhone 8 as those parts are backwards compatible with the SE second generation and I believe the SE third generation as well. Getting back over to the actual phone, our next course of action is to disconnect our flex cables here going to the display, and one of our cables is left behind as this is the one that was torn, so we'll just pull that out like so. Then we can take our eye-hold tool away. With the screen out of the way, we can now get a better look at what's going on inside the phone. Upon closer inspection, we are missing a metal plate right here as well that covers our flex cable for our volume, mute switch, and power button. We still have our gunk up here. We're still missing our plate here. We're also actually missing a screw that holds our camera backplate down as well. And then towards the bottom, we're looking good, except we still have those exposed metal solder points on the battery for the battery board. Our next course of action is to now get everything in the upper part of the phone here removed and get our logic board out of the phone and moved over to the new housing. As I was going through removing all the screws and getting our flex cables disconnected everywhere on the board, I actually realized they don't have any screws anywhere holding it down. So supposedly, it's just gonna pop out with a little pry tool right here. Yeah, that is not good that it came out that easily. So you're supposed to have a bunch of standoff screws along the board that fasten it down to the housing of the phone, and so you're not relying on everything on top of it and all the cables to keep it in place. Now we got everything we needed removed from our old phone housing here. We don't need our battery, we already have the lower components in the new housing. We already have our small components in the upper part right here. So we're gonna go ahead, set that off to the side, and bring in our new housing and reinstall our logic board in our, essentially just our rear facing camera. All right, now we have our logic board just essentially floating in here. As you can see, it's not fastened down yet. Just have to go get some screws for that. But in the meantime, real quick, I'll get our rear camera installed on here now. Now we have our rear camera plate somewhat installed. I just have to fill in that missing screw. So I have to go get my screw box and dig through literally hundreds of small screws to find the ones that work. All right, I got my drawer of phone metal plates and screws. I am gonna do this step off camera, as I can't imagine it's too entertaining to watch someone pick through screws for probably about 20-30 minutes. Now that I've gotten the first round of missing screws filled in, just to tell you what screws I had to find and install, our first one was a standoff screw at the bottom of our logic board right here. Our second one was another standoff screw at the top of our logic board. And then our third and final one I had to find was a Phillips head screw at the top left of our logic board. With the flex cables now connected to the logic board, we will get our new lithium battery installed into the phone. And then what I like to do to ensure I get it lined up correctly is just before setting it in all the way, I like to connect it to the logic board. And then we just push it against the side and push it on down into the phone. Just go over it a little bit to ensure the adhesive adheres to the back of the phone, and then disconnect the battery once again. Now with the new lithium battery installed, we'll set the actual phone off to the side for now and bring our screen in, and we'll get our back metal plate removed, get our our front facing camera and ear speaker removed along with our home button. While taking the back of the screen apart, I did notice we did have a few missing screws, which in the condition of this phone doesn't surprise me. We were missing one about right there, the hole on the furthest left, and then we're also missing one holding down our ear speaker over here. Well, not our ear speaker, our front-facing camera, which also helps hold our backplate on the screen down. And then on the side here, we were missing a tri-wing screw right here. I just have to go ahead and remove our metal backplate next. Now we can move on to getting everything reassembled onto the new screen. Now with everything attached to the new display, I just have to go through that process again to fill in 3 missing screws on the display. Now that I've filled in the missing screws, both screws on the top and our 1 missing screw on the side, we can now bring in our screenwriting tool, see if there's any data that we can read off of the old screen to hopefully keep True Tone going on this phone. All right, now we can bring in the actual phone. We'll get our battery connected and connect our display and do a test boot up and see if everything's working correctly. All right, now that we've booted up, we'll first see if the home button lets us into the phone. Home button works so far. Now the biggest question is, does Touch ID work? Touch ID seems to work correctly. If we go camera, make sure our rear camera is working, make sure our front camera is working, make sure our touch is working correctly. And I think from there, we're good enough to go with sealing the phone up, putting the new adhesive on. We'll go ahead and power the phone back off and disconnect the display and battery. Before applying the new adhesive, I just had to remove the old adhesive that was on the frame of the phone. Now, we'll get our new adhesive applied to the device. And now with the display reinstalled and our new adhesive around the side of the phone, I have to now find the missing screws for our 2 metal plates here. Just have to manage to pick up the other one for these 2 metal plates. And actually, there are missing screws for the 3rd one as well. So I'm gonna get these fastened off camera so I can find the right screws once again. Now that we finally have all the missing screws filled in on the phone, we can actually seal it up and press our display in. Our display clicked in like it's supposed to. Doesn't feel like there's any edges sticking up in an odd way. So now we can get our new pentalobe screws installed on the bottom of the phone. And just like that, we're finally done fixing someone else's mistake when it came to fixing an iPhone. So you can see we have our touch working as it should. If we go into phone, we should be able to dial numbers without any issues. Yep, we're all good there. The only thing I know of that I know we will not have on the phone is battery health or wait, maybe it's thinking. Oh wait, it said something. Yeah, we're not gonna get battery health on here because it's technically not a genuine Apple part. And then if we go into display and brightness, yeah, we lost True Tone because whoever put that other screen on the phone didn't write the serial numbers over correctly. But other than those two minor things, we have a fully functional, like brand new iPhone SE 2nd generation. Just get some fingerprints off here. Looks fresh out of the box. Oh, just forgot to stick the SIM tray back in. Okay, now it's officially complete.